going to jointly announce several new steps to squeeze Putin and hold him even more accountable for his aggression against Ukraine.
President Joe Biden announcing tougher sanctions on Russia, banning more Russian goods from coming into the U.S.
The free world is coming together to confront Putin.
Hundreds of people in Boulder County lost everything in the Marshall Fire, only to find out their homes were underinsured. Colorado lawmakers are now proposing new rules to prevent this from happening again.
I consider this sort of the first step, help the process.
And it's time to celebrate Denver's restaurants.
We do this to help out the restaurants at a particularly slow time of year, but that's even more so this year coming out of Omicron.
It's restaurant week, and dozens of restaurants are offering special menus for you to try.
Not as many people know about Denver's amazing dining scene.
President Joe Biden is tightening sanctions on Russian President Vladimir Putin over his decision to invade Ukraine. The U.S. is revoking what's called the most favored nation trade status for Russia. That means the U.S. and our allies can impose higher tariffs on some Russian imports. Thanks so much for joining us here for Denver 7 News at 11. I'm Jason Grenauer. Fighting is escalating meanwhile in Russia, and troops are reportedly getting closer to Ukraine's capital. As Ike reports, there's fears Russia might consider using chemical or biological weapons.
Today, President Biden announcing new, stricter sanctions aimed at holding Russia accountable for its unprovoked war on Ukraine.
We're going to hit Putin harder because the United States and our closest allies and partners are acting in unison. The totality of our sanctions and export controls is crushing the Russian economy.
Still, President Putin meeting with Belarus's leader Alexander Lukashenko, attempting to put a positive spin on the sanctions, saying the USSR had lived successfully with sanctions, a questionable claim given the Soviet Union's eventual collapse. Russian citizens feeling the pressure of the global sanctions, businesses closing, even long lines at McDonald's before it and several other international chains leave the country. In Ukraine, the Russian military's attacks on civilians continues to escalate. Urgent growing concern for Mariupol, a city under constant siege for days now, where the mayor says hundreds of thousands of residents are trapped with no power, heat, and running out of food and medicine. Elsewhere, U.S. officials say Russian troops are now only 9 miles away from the capital, Kyiv. And now U.S. officials saying they're seeing indications that Russia may use false claims about the United States and Ukraine developing chemical weapons as a pretext for Russia to use them in an attack. In Poland, Vice President Kamala Harris calling for an international war crimes investigation of Russia.
We have been witnessing for weeks, and certainly just in the last 24 hours, atrocities of unimaginable proportion.
Now, earlier this morning, Vice President Kamala Harris meeting with troops stationed in Poland, reaffirming the United States' support for NATO allies in the region. Ike Ajachi, ABC News, Washington.
People will rally outside the state capitol tomorrow in support of Ukraine. The group Stand With Ukraine has held several rallies before and after Russia's invasion. They'll be collecting donations for Ukrainian charities. That rally starts at 1. President Joe Biden is accusing Republicans of playing a political game over high gas prices. The GOP blames his administration for rising oil prices, but the president says the U.S. is increasing oil production.
By the end of the year, we will have produced more oil than any time in the last number of years. Look, I just want to run, the Republicans are playing a game here. They're talking about the Democrats haven't raised prices. They all voted for the same thing. The CEOs of major oil companies have said they'll increase investment and production. They have the capacity to do it.
Now, earlier this week, the president admitted gas prices will rise and said he can't do much about it right now. He's blaming the spike in prices on Vladimir Putin and Russia invading Ukraine. The average American family is now paying $65 every time they fill up the gas tank. That was $42 last year. Excuse me. And taking a quick check of gas prices in Colorado, they're up to $3.95 a gallon. That's up 4 cents from yesterday. Pitkin County is seeing the highest prices at $4.80 a gallon. A heads up for anyone flying in and out of DIA for spring break over the next few weeks. Phase 2 of the Great Hall project is changing some things around at the airport. Now, the airport says the North Security Checkpoint will close at 8 p.m. instead of 9 starting Sunday. It's so crews can install steel beams. Space will also be restricted at the Level 4 train departure platform. Crews are installing walls while they work on a new escalator there. There's also new construction walls at the south end of the terminal on Level 6, so work can begin on modifying the ticketing spaces. We've talked to so many people who lost homes in the Marshall Fire, and many of them found out after the fact that their home was underinsured. Denver 7's Veronica Acosta takes a closer look at a bill moving through the state legislature to address the problem before it happens to other homeowners.
House Bill 1111 would force insurance companies to pay more upfront for those personal property claims. Those are claims that cover the items that are inside of your home. So if you're wondering this morning, here's how it currently works. Right now, homeowners, they only get 30% of their policy value. They have to write out a list of every single item they've lost to be able to get the rest. A really grueling process for families that have already been through so much. Now, Senator Bob Rankin, one of 3 who sponsored this bill, says it's time for some change. In 2020, there were 4 major fires in his district. He doesn't think the right option here is to mandate insurance coverage, instead update the risk areas for wildfires, because he says it's not out of the picture for something like this to happen again, all while making the insurance navigating process just a little bit easier.
That's not the last time that we will see these kinds of events occur, so we have to do everything we can to make the process easier for the victims.
This bill is being heard in the House Appropriations Committee today. Tonight at 10, Denver 7's Jennifer Kowaleski investigates how, despite most Marshall Fire victims wanting to return to the place they called home, to rebuild it, it won't be easy. That's because of that really big price tag. In studio, I'm Veronica Acosta, Denver 7.
More than 800 households are waiting for Boulder County's debris removal program to start. Here's a look at what still needs to happen. A hearing a week from today will try to block lawsuits over the contract the county signed with a Louisiana-based company. The county also has to finalize an agreement between itself, Louisville, the town of Superior, and get everybody to sign it. That could happen in less than 2 weeks. The county hopes to get the cleanup process back on schedule and finished this summer.
A living wage is something we are desperately craving for.
About 40 Starbucks employees walked off the job in Denver this morning. This was at the store near Colfax in Milwaukee. They were demonstrating against what they say is Starbucks' unfair labor practices. The U.S. Postal Service is hiring hundreds of letter carriers in the metro. There's a job fair at the Golden Post Office from 10 to 2 tomorrow. People can also apply online. Starting pay is between $18 and $19 an hour. Now is your chance to check out Denver's restaurants. Restaurant Week starts today. Dozens of restaurants are participating with options for $25, $35, or $45 a person. Denver 7's Jessica Crawford went to check out some of those menus.
Guess I'm right here at Blue Moon Brewery, and I might not be too much of a bartender. Yeah, there's way too much foam on that. But the people here at Blue Moon, they are good at it. But that's not the only thing that they're good at. They can make food too. That's what Restaurant Week is all about, getting to know more about the restaurants in our community.
Table 303 walk-in. This is a unique week in Colorado every year where we get to kind of R&D some upcoming food trends and really kind of put our best foot forward to people that don't normally go out as much as they do, and it's a great way to reach a whole new demographic here in Denver.
Matty Gagnon is the executive chef at Blue Moon, one of the many restaurants getting in on Restaurant Week. His favorite foods on his own menu?
I have to say it's a toss-up between our iced coffee blonde ancho braised short rib or the mango wheat coconut shrimp with a mango habanero hop sauce.
Food, a way to connect before, during, and after the pandemic for restaurants across the Denver metro, like Trompeau Bakery in Inglewood, which was given comfort as they baked up comfort foods.
It's the real stuff when people want to come here, and they really supported us. It was unbelievably heartwarming. I mean, people would come in and say, Beth, did you know about this grant? Or Beth, did you know about this funding opportunity? They would tell me.
Restaurants receiving and giving.
We definitely tried to participate in donating food to local hospitals and other businesses that were working nonstop.
After a tough 2 years, people finally getting to come together to enjoy some goodies.
We try to keep as diverse and ever-changing as the area that we work in, the Rhino District here in Denver. There's a little bit of everything down here, so we try to hit all those points on our menu as well.
Restaurant Week runs from today through the 20th. From the Blue Moon Brewery in Denver, I'm Jessica Crawford, Denver 7.
I know I'm going to go be checking out Restaurant Week for sure. Now, you can find a link to the Denver Restaurant Week website on thedenverchannel.com. You can search by location, price, even type of food. Well, the state will reintroduce wolves in Colorado, and it will change the dynamic between humans, livestock, and wolves. We're talking to one rancher who hopes to find a solution.